Hey guys, this video is a response to KITT171's question of the week. This week it was, what's the hardest game you've played, or some of the hardest games you've played, which is a great question. In terms of difficulty in games, when I consider a game hard, it's got to be on the default difficulty. In terms of games this generation and even in previous generations, I've played a lot of games that were quite challenging on the harder difficulties, but maybe they were super easy on the default difficulty or the easy mode. So when I think of like the hardest games I've ever played, it's games that I play on the default difficulty or games that have no difficulty level, or games that even on easy mode are absolutely insane. Also, in terms of games I've played that are really hard, I'm only gonna mention maybe one or two games that are hard and I beat. Because really, if I can end up beating a game on the default difficulty, sure, it can probably be challenging, but it's not going to make my hardest games I've ever played list. Games that are so hard I can't even beat them. Those are games that I would consider among the hardest I've ever played. So I'll start with a game that I have actually beat, and this is a game that on the default difficulty is not really hard. It's the only game I'm going to include where on the harder difficulties this game gets insane. And that's on the 00 agent mode for GoldenEye 007. Which is actually not too hard, but there are some levels that are ridiculous. The jungle level I remembered being absolutely insane, the control level. What really makes it near impossible, and I can't beat the level on 007, 00 agent mode for the life of me, and that is the Aztec Temple level. Absolutely brutal. It's probably one of the hardest first-person shooter levels I've played. You immediately start off, there's enemies all over the place, like it almost feels like they respawn. It's a timed level, you're timed during the level. There's not enough ammo for weapons. You have to use the laser gun through the entire level pretty much. It's absolutely insane. I've never beat it. And it's one of the hardest levels I've played in any video game when it's played on the harder difficulties. Although even on the agent difficulty level, it's actually quite difficult. Another N64 game that I find hard, Turok 2, classic first-person shooter. I love this game. I cannot beat it though on the default difficulty. The Lair of the Blind Ones, that's about as far as I get. It's one of the most confusing maze-like levels ever. The enemies are very hard to take down. I think it's probably due to me getting lost, but I have played the other levels, and it gets hard in terms of pure challenge. I mean, the enemies will kill you really fast. There's not a whole lot of ammo in this game. One of my close friends has beaten it, and he says that towards the end of the game, it gets downright insane. Really fun game, but super difficult. Of course, you've got Battletoads, which some people might say the difficulty of this game is overrated. I don't think so. I've seen playthroughs of this game, and this game, it just gets harder and harder and harder. Some of the later levels are insane. That one where you're kind of holding onto this ball and you're racing up and down walls, and you have to have super quick timing. I can't get past the hoverbike stage. It's too fast, too long. I can't do it. Every time I play this game, I get there and just die. A ridiculously hard game. Its difficulty is, widely known, and for good reason. Another NES game, The Adventures of Bayou Billy. If any of you know Spoony, he's got his own website and does videos. This was the first game he ever reviewed. That gives a good example of how hard this game is. I can't beat the first Jeep level. It's nearly impossible. This is, though, one of those games that's kind of hard due to the controls, and I don't know, the enemies are kind of relentless, but watch Spoony's video just to see how hard this game is. I can't get far in this game at all. It's brutally tough. And with NES games, I'd say pretty much almost every NES game I've played could rank as one of the hardest games I've ever played. Contra I find very difficult, especially Super Contra. Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse is very hard. I can't beat that game. So yeah, all those games are examples of very hard games. It's when I think of this generation, and hell, even the previous generation, that I kind of have trouble finding a difficult game. People might say, you know, the Souls games, but you know they're challenging, but they've got a bit of a learning curve, but they're really not that bad. Ninja Gaiden, the original Ninja Gaiden for the Xbox, is considered a really hard game. I love that game; it's one of my favorites, and I really didn't find that difficult. Now the NES ones, especially Ninja Gaiden 3 on the NES, oh my god, that game's tough. Like, like people always say how the Xbox One is so challenging. Like, play the NES ones; they are ridiculous. Very fun though. So like when I think of this generation, I really I can't think of many games. There's been a few games that have been hard on the harder difficulties. Halo Reach on Legendary by yourself was pretty tough. There's a game on the Xbox called Eat Lead on the hardest difficulty that was very hard. The Devil May Cry games are kind of difficult, I guess. I'll say Devil May Cry 3. When it originally came out on the PS2, before they had special edition where they fixed difficulty problems, the normal mode on that game was very hard. I will say that. Devil May Cry 3 was quite tough. But yeah, I don't know. This generation, I find games are just much easier. KITT171 mentioned Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. That game is very tough. I'll agree with him there. That's one of the hardest games I've played too. But yeah, that's pretty much all the hard games I've played. There's countless other games. You know, Contra 3 on the Super Nintendo's quite difficult. Punch Out, Mike Tyson's Punch Out on the NES. That game is crazy hard. Mike Tyson is. I swear he's like. I mean, lots of people have beat him, but I can't. It baffles me how people are able to beat him. But yeah, anyways, that's my response to the question. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later.